Hello, this is your writing mentor, Meggie Tran. Today, I wanted to go over my writing process in the hopes that you'll find yours. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about how I got to develop my writing process. Over the past few months and years, I've been writing all over the place. I've written articles about travel and mental health on my personal blog, Mindful Meggie. I also used to write regularly for a blog about the Club Penguin video game, and that blog was called Club Penguin Tech 70. I've even written for other publications. And of course, I've written lots of essays for my university studies. And over time, I've picked up the elements I need to help my writing process. I learned what works for me and what doesn't. And knowing how you write is super important because it will improve your efficiency as you're writing. And by learning how your environment impacts your writing, you can learn how to make such an environment that will encourage you to write and achieve a state of flow as you're writing. I can't really explain the flow, but you can feel it as you're typing or writing. And writing means to be immersed in your world, the world that you are describing in your writing. Like, there's so much going on in our busy world, and we don't want to pay attention to that world. We just want to hone our focus on the world of our writing. And so being consistent with your writing process is so helpful because it trains you to adjust to the mood, the flow of writing. And so everybody's writing process is so different. I will show you my process of writing in the next few slides. And if my process doesn't seem to be your cup of tea, that's totally okay because your process might be different from mine. The objective here is to recognize your process, but feel free to try out parts of my process. If they help you achieve that flow of writing, that's great. And if they don't, just find whatever works for you. And so tip number one is I set a dedicated amount of time. I might set an hour or two, whatever I can fit into my schedule. I know that writing takes time and I don't want to worry about what's going on in my schedule. I want to make sure that I'm fully focused on my writing and I don't want any distractions from my schedule. So I make sure to give my writing the time it deserves. Then I keep any distraction away. For example, I don't have my smartphone with me right now. I have it in a different room. I don't have any programs open on my screen except for my word processor, whether I'm writing on my Mindful Meggie WordPress blog or I'm typing in a Microsoft Word document. I don't want to have different tabs visible where I might be distracted. And once in a while, I will clean up the messy stuff around my work table. I tend to make a big mess of things. Like I have things scattered all over the place, but sometimes I will clean it up so that way I can have a clean environment with fewer distractions in my line of sight. Then I close the door and the window. When I'm writing, again, I don't want distractions from the noisy, busy world out there. By closing off my environment, I can hone in on writing in my world. I want to force myself into that world that I'm writing about. The fourth thing I do is I listen to music. I always have earbuds in my ears. Again, I don't want any noise. I don't want any distractions from the outside world. I will listen to a song and I'll usually turn on the repeat mode. Just like for me, this is just for me, but listening to the same song over and over again helps me focus on my writing. The pace of the song energizes me. Usually I can write more when I'm listening to a song. Somehow I just feel more energetic as I'm listening to a tune versus complete silence. And do I listen to songs with or without lyrics? Honestly, it depends how I'm feeling at the moment. If I'm feeling kind of tired, I don't feel like listening to lyrics, so I might turn on a song that doesn't have lyrics. But sometimes I'm super familiar with a song with lyrics that it kind of becomes background noise for me, and I'm not really paying attention to what they're saying, or should I say what they're singing. So sometimes I'll also play songs with lyrics. And I usually listen to the same songs, which I learned to associate with writing. So I have a specific set of songs that I will listen to just for writing. Like there's other songs out there that I love, but again, I have this list of songs that I like to listen to for my writing. And by playing that specific song, eventually I connect it to the mood and the flow of writing. And last month I experimented with old school forms. I come from the CD generation, so I wanted to see if old school forms might cause even fewer distractions, because I have a YouTube music subscription and sometimes I might be distracted by finding different songs. So I actually tried CDs and I really liked it. So if you have an old school form of music, you might want to try that too. Just by having an old school form, you might be less tempted to explore the millions of songs that might be on Spotify or YouTube Music. With something like a CD, it's like all the songs you have are right here and that's all you get. All right, and then it's time to write. And I've learned from so many writers over the years that there are at least two ways people write. The first way to write is you let everything out. You're not holding anything back when you're writing, and you worry about refining it during the revision and editing process later. But there's another way to write, and I feel like this is not spoken about enough, and this is actually how I write. But I write each sentence, each paragraph really carefully, because I care a lot about how a sentence and paragraph moves to the next one. So that's how I write. Of course, I still go back and revise and edit, but each writer has their own way of writing, and whatever you like, just stick to it. And then I will take breaks. I can only write so much. We only have a limited amount of energy. I don't want to burn myself out, so I take breaks. Breaks are normal and healthy. It's not like we should not avoid breaks. Breaks are so important in the creative process because breaks allow yourself to recuperate some energy and give yourself like the solitude it needs from working. And that will actually help you in the long run, because breaks and work, it will save more time and energy than forcing yourself to write all the way. If you're writing all the way, you might get really tired while you're doing it. Your quality of work may not be as good, and you might be writing slower versus having breaks. When you come back to your work, you might feel rejuvenated to write and write and write. So I cannot emphasize enough the importance of breaks. And then after you've written your first draft, there's the revision and editing process. Typically, revisions and edits should happen at least one day after finishing a rough draft, or ideally even longer than that. Like sometimes I'll leave like even up to a few days in between if I don't have any pressing deadlines, because I see like after those days, I see my draft differently from the outside. Like I know I wrote it, but I don't feel as connected to it. So I can actually see as an outsider things that I could change. And so first I revise, and revision is all about the big picture stuff, like the organization and making sure that my purpose is consistent throughout my writing. Then I'll edit for the spelling and the grammar. Then, ta-da, I'm finished. I will send my essay off and away. I didn't mention peer revisions because, well, all right. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I hope you enjoyed this presentation and all the best with your writing process.